Hi, this is Bill. We're nearing the end of the Autocad tutorial now. Just a little bit of rendering. I'm by no means an expert in rendering, but I have bashed around and crashed around. And when I said it was not a good idea, if you try something like Revit, you get your model and hit render and something sensible comes out of it. This is Autocad. If we just go up to our 3D modeling workspace and choose the visualize option, and we just hit render to size, straight away we get something that's rather underwhelming, really. But there are other things that are causing problems. So one of the things is your render presets manager is quite nice to have. And also, to get your render exposure, you have to type render exposure and hit enter, and you get this little fella here. And if you turn on the environment, you'll find that it does make a little bit of a difference. And you've also got this begins the rendering process. And down here we've got render by level. Well, set at 1, and the whole thing is all low, and everything's low. Let's just see what we get in the way of something. And straight away you can say, well, that's a huge improvement. So from here on, you could just try moving that up. Say 6 there, and make that draft, and just change one thing at one time and just see how long things take. See, it's taking a little longer now, and it's got these shadows. That means its default lighting is coming from over here somewhere. So you can do things like turn on the sun. See over here, this panel is not lit, and the immediate thing is, well, look, if I could just press that, I'd be doing great. Well, the answer is, if you press your orbit button, hidden on the right click, is perspective. And once you hit perspective and go exit, all of a sudden you can have your sky background in illumination. And you can turn on the sun, and it says, well, do you want to turn off your default lighting? Yes, why not? And it says, oh, it's got different exposure settings. Oh, adjust them for me, let's see what happens. So, we'll try one with that one. And that looks a little bit more sunny. The sun seems to be coming from the right angle. It's not quite as nice as the other one, though. So maybe its exposure is a little bit more. Maybe we should have turned that down a little bit. Try another one. Yeah, it's still not quite as nice, is it? So that's the effect of using the sun, and so on and so forth. Just as a matter of interest. If I save this drawing, and I've got a copy of Revit open here, and we will see if that will help us any. So we'll just open a new architectural template. And we'll insert a import from CAD, and 3 was the drawing that we had, millimeters and so on and so forth. We'll just let it come in, and there's our little model there, and easy peasy with camera. Just grab a camera and take a picture, and that there is which is realistic. It's It's coming up quite nicely, but we just need to go to View and hit Render. And on the other screen is this thing here. You've got a choice of mental ray and draft and all sorts of things. You just hit Render and it goes away and it produces something a damn sight better than Autocad will produce. And see, that's as rough as guts. It's got it's got a screen resolution of not much, not very good. And you also have the option of Autodesk Ray Tracer, and we could try that one, seeing as it's coming out pretty darn quick. And that produces a slightly different look again. This doesn't look very realistic. Go back to that mental ray, NVIDIA. I've got a NVIDIA card, so that's, we chose medium, and we went Render. This one will probably take a little longer. No, not that much longer. This is real time. This is not sped up or anything. So that is probably as good as you'd ever want to get. You could like to have something nicer, I suppose, but it's not far off what you'd want. Okay, and now I'll just minimize my Revit and bring up a thing called Showcase. Showcase is also made by Autodesk, and it will take an Autocad model, and it doesn't have to worry about all sorts of other things, because it converts whatever's in the Autocad model to something that's Showcase friendly. And it's just changed my Windows scheme to basic, which doesn't seem to make much difference to my eyes. It's taking a little while to come into view here. It's almost there. Here it comes. So it must be a nice program. It takes so long to load. Do you think? Anyway, double click that one, and you've got a little menu bar up the top with a few things that you can do. You say your file, and we'll choose tutorial 3, which is what we've been using. And down in the bottom left hand corner it says converting, and it's loading gradients and all sorts of things. It doesn't take that long to do. Along the bottom here you've got your basic things that you can fiddle with in terms of materials and so on and so forth. And in comes, and it even looks more like concrete than it did in the AutoCAD, and that almost looks better than it did in AutoCAD. But if I hold down Shift and just roll that round, it's all those shadows are staying where they are, and it looks quite nice. You could almost say that was a good render as you could think. So what can you do with this? Well, you can do, for instance, you could go up to Story, create a shot, a cinematic orbit, and see we've got all these other shots in here, but we're only interested in the orbit one. We can just preview it, and immediately just go straight into the preview of that. So this is going to be saved as a movie, or can be saved as a movie. This is not where you save it as a movie. This is where you preview your shot, and you can manipulate certain things like how long it lasts and so on and so forth. So it's quite nice. And say for instance you didn't like that concrete, you click on it and go to where it is, materials, and you've got showcase materials. You should have some concrete in here somewhere, maybe not. Showcase extended, glass, leather and all sorts of things. So, but you've got your Autodesk materials, concrete. So, how about industrial? That sounds good. So you can change your materials in there, and also you can pick. No, you can't pick. Oh yes, you are picking. See the blue lines? The blue lines are going up and down, up and down. If you right click, select all objects with that material, and say you wanted to change the colour of the paint or something like that, and you could go to plastic, and so we want to make it red. It's not very nice. Textured, green, but white. White seems nice. And you can change all your materials while you're in Showcase. And if you wanted to make a movie of that shot that you just publish your movie. I won't publish it now, but you've got to watch this all shots together. No, we don't want that. You just wanted that shot one, was the one that was the movie. And you just press that, and it produces your movie. It's quite good. The other thing you can do is you can roll it around here like this, and say for instance you wanted to do a walkthrough. You go back to the create shot and start to end, and you're at the start now, and say for instance you wanted to make a little bit of a walkthrough, and you just wind your way through to where you think you might like it, reset the end and preview it, and it'll do a slow walkthrough, or depending on how many seconds you want it. So you can change the number of seconds. You can change it to 20 seconds if you wanted to. Preview that one, and it'll come in a little bit slower, a little bit more smoothly, and you can save this as a movie, and that seems to be relatively good quality, but it's not top line. It's not what you'd get out of something like 3D Studio or something like that, but it is really easy to use. And I think that is probably it for me. I may do some further ones. I thought of doing one called the Top 10 Autocad Gotchas, and they're the things that people come up against, and they think, how do I get out of that? And so that might be of interest.